Hello everyone! I have excellent news in the world of jailbreaking today, as the Checkra1n team, out of the blue, announced that version 0.12.0 was released with a lot of important updates, which we will be getting to in this video. So let's get right into it. Exactly 1 year to the day of November 8th, 2019, when the first Checkra1n was released to the public, only available for Mac. 1 year later, they're on Linux, and of course, there are numerous Windows emulators that have been released, and I will be working on a couple tutorials throughout this week. I'll be updating my Linux one. I will be updating whatever I get from the community. I know IMAT worked on one. I might be getting one from Just the Tech sometime this week. So I will be doing a video, hopefully with one emulator with the BIOS if you don't want to mess around with Linux. Thankfully, I know for me with Linux is working fine. I still got my commands I can do in the terminal, which I'll show you in the tutorial I'll work on during the week. But this is just a generalized summary of what's going on here. And of course, I will mention right now that if you do want to get Linux, I have my old tutorial still up to date, even though it was recorded a while back. It is relevant because you can still get Linux with the same instructions, but I want to show you the Linux working with the current version. So we are going to get into what we need to discuss. So, first of all, new devices are now being supported all the way up to A10. A11, it's sort of supported, but I will get into a couple of the flaws in just a second. Now, I will confirm that I tried jailbreaking my iPad 5th gen when the first version came out back in September. The bad news is I couldn't jailbreak because there was an issue with A7 devices. The good news is the Checkra1n team have fixed it with the iPad 5th gen, so I will show you how that works. I will mention this is something very interesting. Additionally, we have added a checkbox to disable BPR checks on A11 devices. This is not recommended and your device won't boot with a passcode. Now, again, I debunked this. I tried to. Pretty much when I did try to enable my passcode back on the jailbreak, and I will read what I took on a screenshot from earlier. Rocket Bootstrap, there's an issue with it. There is a daemon that was not discovered by the Checkra1n team. They need to spend a lot more time, I guess, working on that. And there's also a possibility that a couple exploits could be found to maybe work on the newer devices. So something can come out of this in the future. I'm not going to speculate what's going on. I'm just going to talk about what the current situation is. Okay. So I also want to mention some good news that Liberty Light is working with Peacock. So if you are going to be doing Liberty Light, I will be also updating that tutorial this week. So a lot of fun stuff's coming. I quickly want to mention the reason why there's no Andy Plays today. The real reason, I understand it's my birthday. I would have had a video taped yesterday. Had it up today, but the issue is my Elgato capture card. It's not working anymore. So I had to order a new one. And we'll be back to Andy Plays in a couple weeks. Don't worry. I have Watch Dogs Legions coming on the mail in a couple days. I got SpongeBob that just came in on Halloween. So I'm all good. I'm all good on that. So before we wrap up this video, I just want to read you what Checkra1n has on their website. So if you are on Linux or on Mac, they will be able to determine the situation with your operating system. So official support for iOS 14.1 and 14.2. I do not recommend under any circumstances trying to experiment with 14.2. There could be a few bugs that need to be figured out. I would recommend if you're on 14.1, which I made the right move because I've been keeping an eye on the community, and they told me that any day now there may be a new version of Checkra1n. There may be a new version, and they ended up being right. Because again, our first version that we were allowed to get was back a year ago on this date in 2019. Which, crazy to think that a lot can happen on my 25th birthday, but that's what happened here. Okay, so, again, I will show you on my tutorial, when I do it on Linux, the option for the A11B PR check. So, the example is, if you have an iPhone 8 or an iPhone 10 as a secondary device, I would, if you want to mess around with it, maybe the issue with Rocket Bootstrap doesn't bother you. You have that issue. You're not using your device that much. Maybe just keep it around like Saunders Tech or everything Apple Pro does. Then, by all means, do that. But if your iPhone 8, like me, is my daily driver, and I need this phone constantly, then I would just say, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you want to unjailbreak, the good news is, in the Checkra1n app, there is an option to go back to rootfs. So I did notice that as well. Now, there is a quick mode, and there is a GUI to UI run. I haven't tested that out on Linux, but whenever that comes around, I'll try it. Okay, so let me continue reading. Here's a kernel patch. I just want to see if there would be... Yeah, here it is. Issue that would cause failure with A7 devices. So that is the, other issues. Yeah, okay, there we go. So the issue with my iPad 5 with Linux, even as I got rid of the passcode, and I kept getting error 79, I was wondering, why isn't this working? So, there was that issue at hand that needed to be figured out. But, yes. Windows will... Now, here's the important news. They've been talking about this for a year now. There is still a chance that Windows will get a release. Would I rule it out? No. I wouldn't rule it out. So, there's also a chance that Zebra and Installer 5 could be added. There is a way to get Silio with this, but I'm not going to get into that. But as far as the situation with Checkra1n is concerned, that's where we're at right now. So to summarize everything what I just talked about, support has been added for 810 devices. So I want to go into those devices before we wrap up this video. So we'll look it up. Apple A10 Wiki. So I will give you the name of the devices that are supported. The supported devices that are officially supported are the following. iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. The 6th Gen iPad from 2018. Last year's iPod Touch. And last year's iPad. Currently, right now, the A11 devices that are not supported officially, and it is just limited support right now, are the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus and the iPhone 10. If you are on an A12 and A13 device, which would include the following: A12 would be iPhone XS and XS Max, iPhone XR, iPad mini 5th gen, iPad Air from last year, the 3rd gen, and the iPad from this year. Your devices will not be supported. And I will mention my mom does have the iPad 2020 model. Lastly, if you have the new iPhones, the iPhone 11, the Pro Max, and the 2nd gen of the iPhone SE, those devices will not be supported either. As far as earlier devices are supported, we'll go back to A9, A8, and A7. So, earliest supported devices will be the iPhone 5S, iPad Air, iPad mini, and the Mini 2 and 3. So, there you go, folks. That's the situation with Checkra1n. I'm going to wrap this video up. Use at your own discretion if you are an experienced jailbreaker. I will be doing tutorials during the week. So with that, thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.